Wall Street Journal reports that top Clinton staffers kept a tight rein on document releases during her tenure at state. It has to do with items requested under the Freedom of Information Act.
No, but that's what we were just talking. I don't understand.
The paper cites anonymous sources who say in one instance, Clinton's chief of staff, Cheryl Mills, we know Cheryl, asked to see documents that were requested and were related to the Keystone Pipeline.
They're just attacking her because she's a woman.
Mills reportedly then asked that some not be released. According to the Journal, her staff also asked that some documents having to do with President Clinton's speaking engagements also be held back.
Wait, what? I don't understand.
A spokesman for Hillary Clinton told the Journal that Mills didn't inappropriately interfere with the process.
Appropriately, that's an important word.
And also said the State Department takes FOIA, that's Freedom of Information requests, very seriously and has a rigorous process in place.
They surely have over the past 4 years.
Handling the thousands of requests that come in. So what do they do if a request comes in and it's scrubbed? Do you just get a piece of paper that's completely redacted?
Well, so Mark Halperin, get us through this. I was reading the article this morning. I think it was an AP article that just says that this doesn't usually happen. I'm sure I'm going to hear that everybody not only did this but killed billy goats and that they had tied to the back of their agency.
Can you imagine if Howard Dean
and it's not just the Clintons that did this. I mean, that everybody did this while slaughtering billy goats. And why do you always pick on the Clintons? But I'm just trusting this article, which says this is highly unusual. You don't let people that work for you scrub what you're going to let out and what you're not going to let out, especially like Bill Clinton making $550,000 for speeches. Why is that protected under the FOIA Act? And is there anybody in Washington, D.C. that is responsible for this? That is going to step forward and say, yes, the American people can actually trust that there's a shred of transparency in their government, even when we let rock stars run the be Secretary of State.
I mean, look, the Inspector General, I think, should look at this because career FOIA experts are the ones who should be making these decisions, not political appointees. And this Journal story, which is an important story, raises 3 issues that have been around that are not gotcha issues, and they're not holding the Clintons to a different standard. One is secrecy. One is a failure to play by the normal rules that they really should play by. And the third is people around the Clintons working hard to do what the Clintons want done in a political way.
Mike Barnacle, what's the purpose of the Freedom of Information Act? Is it so politicians can have their henchmen decide what they're going to let out and what they're not going to let out? I mean, come on.
Mark Halperin just mentioned the key to the Freedom of Information Act in terms of making it work the way it's supposed to work is you can't have political appointees running it. You should have career bureaucrats running it.
Cheryl Mills, Jeremy Peters, of all people, Cheryl Mills, of all people, deciding. She goes from fighting the impeachment wars to fighting the, this latest round. I mean, who is Cheryl Mills to decide what the American people can see and what the American people cannot see?
Unfortunately, anybody who's dealt with trying to get documents out of a government entity knows that, the people who handle these requests make the TSA look like an efficient and competent arm of government. I mean, it's all constant foot dragging to get government entities to release these things. That said, I mean, Hillary Clinton and her behavior in the State Department, the way that she and her top officials conducted themselves, doesn't exactly appear at this point as if they're committed to openness and transparency.
Jeremy,
so there are a lot of questions here.
Yeah, Jeremy, can I ask you, is this any different? Let's ask the question that the Clintons will certainly ask. Is this any different than what happens at any other department? Are we just focusing on it because Hillary Clinton's running for president?
It does seem in this case as if there was a level of control over her documents that you would come to expect from the Clintons. I mean, certainly they've demonstrated that they do not. I mean, just look at the email server, right? I mean, that's a perfect example. So I think there's a pattern here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think there's a problem that I think the soundbite where she's saying, of course, we want them to move quickly. Just. Yeah. Release all the emails. Well, there aren't any. There's only 55,000. There's a whole bunch that are not ever going to be.
Well, I mean, they're the emails that she wanted to
You can't pretend to be transparent when you haven't been, and when you never can be again, because you absolutely destroyed all the information.
If under the FOIA Act you apply to you request from an agency of government specific information, they do indeed drag their feet.
I know.
I would also point out that I strongly suspect that if you apply to get documents from the Bureau of Indian Affairs or something like that, as opposed to the State Department, you're going to get them far more quickly from the Bureau of Indian Affairs.